So let's talk about Grant Holloway. I want to understand why Grant Holloway isn't in the same conversation as Mondo Duplantis or Ryan Crouser when the topic of the GOAT of their events comes up. Grant Holloway is easily the GOAT of the 60-meter hurdles, but he doesn't seem to get the recognition that he truly deserves. Let's talk about it.
It's kind of like the way I'm running these indoor races is kind of like the equivalent to someone running 12.9, 12.9, 12.9, 12.9. I'm pumping out these 7.3s and you guys are getting like used to it. It's like, oh, it's the norm. That's just Grant. So it's just up to me just to continue that strive, continue that pattern.
So at the 2024 World Indoor Championships, I got a chance to speak with Christian Coleman after he won the 60-meter dash title, and he said that he is the GOAT of the 60 meters. He said that no one in history could challenge him or is even comparable in terms of his career when talking about the 60-meter dash.
As far as like how I see myself, I don't think anybody in his history can mess with me over 60 meters. That's just how I feel.
And in my opinion, I completely agree with Christian Coleman. He's a two-time world indoor champion. He's a world record holder. He has the 4 fastest times in the history of the 60-meter dash. He also has a silver medal in the 60. So Christian Coleman has the dominance and the accolades and the performances to back up that claim of being the 60-meter dash GOAT. But then we look at Grant Holloway, and he also has some similar accolades to put him into the conversation as a GOAT of the 60-meter hurdles. And I tried to ask Grant if he thinks he's a GOAT of the 60-meter hurdles, similar to Christian Coleman in the 60-meter dash.
Well, do you consider yourself a 60-meter hurdle GOAT?
That's for you guys to decide.
Well, guess what, Grant? I'm going to decide that. I'm going to break down why I think Grant Holloway is clearly the GOAT of the 60-meter hurdles, and more importantly, why he needs to be in the same conversation as a Mondo Duplantis, as a Ryan Crouser, when we come to talking about GOATs in track and field. So first off, let's just get a few statistics out of the way. In the medals department, Grant has won the 60-meter hurdle gold on 2 occasions, at the 2022 as well as the 2024 World Indoor Championships. This essentially puts him in rare company, as only 2 other athletes in history have ever won multiple indoor titles in the 60-meter hurdles. Terrence Trammell, who has won it in 2001 and 2005, as well as Alan Johnson, who's won it in 1995, 2003, and 2004. So Johnson has really set the bar, but again, Grant Holloway, Terrence Trammell, and Alan Johnson are the only ones to win multiple indoor titles in the 60-meter hurdles. Now, let's talk about world records in the event. Grant Holloway, he set the world record on 3 different occasions. First in 2021, he ran 7.29. Then in 2022, he ran 7.29 once again. And then in 2024, he improved it to 7.27 seconds. Now, again, this puts him in rare company, as Grant Holloway is joined by just a few other people who have ever set the world record on multiple occasions. First off, we have Colin Jackson, who has run 7.36 and 7.30. Then you have Irvin Hall, who's run 7.7 and 7.6. And finally, Eddie Otos, who's run 7.8 and 7.7 twice. Now, Grant Holloway and Eddie Otos are the only 2 athletes in history to ever set the world record on 3 occasions. So only 2 of them, but we have to look back in history, as Eddie Otos, who competed for Italy, he actually set the world record all the way back in 1966 at the European Indoor Championships on 1 single day, and they were all hand timed. So this is before the era where we had fully automatic timing. We didn't even have the World Indoor Championships. This was 1966, so almost 20 years before the World Indoor Championships ever came into fruition. So again, Grant Holloway in some serious rare company to be able to set the world record on 3 occasions throughout his career. Now, on top of world records, let's talk about all-time performances in the 60-meter hurdles. And honestly, this is where Grant Holloway absolutely dominates. On top of having that world record, he also has the 4 top performances all time. He also has 8 of the top 9 performances all time. He also has 13 of the top 16 performances all time. I mean, if you're talking about dominance in an event, Grant Holloway is the definition of it in the 60-meter hurdles. Going back through history, the only person who I found who was even in the least bit comparable to this was Colin Jackson back in the 90s. If we look back, in 1995, Colin Jackson had the world record. He also had 8 of the top 12 all-time performances and 14 of the top 30 all-time performances. So though he had a lot of dominance and depth, Colin Jackson was not in the same realm as Grant Holloway is to this day. And Colin Jackson continued to compete throughout the rest of the 90s as well as into the 2000s. And Grant Holloway is going to be doing the same. He has a lot more to go throughout his career. So again, another checkbox in Grant Holloway's career to further prove why he is the GOAT of the 60-meter hurdles. But that's not it. We have to talk about his winning streak. And I know a lot of people have kind of been talking about his winning streak and how he's undefeated, but let's look at how dominant Grant Holloway has been and kind of compare it to others throughout history who also have a dominant winning streak.
How celebrate that win streak? I mean, I think it's 63 in a row.
That's for you guys. Y'all keep counting. You know, my goal is just to keep winning. Yeah, my goal is just to keep winning regardless of of wherever I'm at. I know it's high. I know it's stacking up, but the biggest thing is for me is just finding ways just to continue to win.
Holloway is currently on an undefeated streak that is only comparable to that of Edwin Moses in the 400-meter hurdles and Michael Johnson in the 400-meter dash. The last time that Grant lost in the 60-meter hurdles was March 2014 at the New Balance Indoor Nationals, where he finished second place to Isaiah Moore in the 60-meter hurdles. Since then, he has never lost an indoor 60-meter hurdle race. Never lost a race. High school, college, and of course now in the professional ranks. And if we count, that's 72 races over a 10-year period. An entire decade that he has gone undefeated in the 60-meter hurdles. I mean, again, if we're comparing him to Edwin Moses and Michael Johnson, Edwin Moses, over 10 years between 1977 and 1987, he won 107 consecutive 400-meter hurdle races. If we look at Michael Johnson, over an 8-year period between 1989 and 1997, in the 400 meters, Michael Johnson won 58 consecutive 400-meter dash finals. So we're clearly talking about GOATs here, right? Edwin Moses, Michael Johnson, they are GOATs of their respective events. Grant Holloway is in that same conversation considering his undefeated streak and is very much a GOAT in the 60-meter hurdles. So the stats clearly bear it out, right? From the world records, from the titles, from the longevity, the consistency, the winning streak, everything plays into the favor of Grant Holloway being considered the GOAT. But why doesn't he get into the same conversation as Mondo Duplantis and Ryan Crouser, who are clearly defined as GOATs in the pole vault as well as the shot put respectively? And just to kind of highlight this point, where if you do a quick search online, right, you're always going to find titles of Mondo Duplantis being considered the GOAT, Ryan Crouser being considered the GOAT, right? You always see them in the conversation for GOAT. But if you do a search on Grant Holloway, you actually don't see much on it, barely anything of anyone considering Grant Holloway the GOAT of the 60-meter hurdles. So why is it? Why isn't it that Grant Holloway isn't put as the GOAT of the 60-meter hurdles? Well, there's a few reasons, at least that I think, as to why he's not put in the conversation. First off, the 60-meter hurdles is only run indoors. So other events like the pole vault, the shot put, and pretty much all the field events, they're always contested both indoors and out. And the events essentially don't change, right? When Mondo sets a world record indoors, it's essentially counted as outdoors as well, just one single event, because the event doesn't change that much between indoors and out. Same thing with the shot put, where it doesn't change as much. The same technique, the same performances, it's going to translate between indoors and out. But the 60-meter hurdles, it's not an outdoor event, so people are going to look at it a little bit different and not give it that same recognition that they might give to the 110-meter hurdles, which we're actually going to talk about now, where the 60-meter hurdles is always thought of in the context of the 110-meter hurdles. And kind of in the same vein, right, it's not an Olympic event. So everyone is always going to think, okay, he did this in the first 5 hurdles, but what is he going to do in the second half of the race when he gets outdoors, right? If you're able to get a really, really good start like Grant Holloway is able to and execute over the first 5 hurdles, you're absolutely going to excel indoors. But then there's some athletes, I think of like a Hansel Parchment, who comes on a little bit later in the second half of the race. They're not going to do as well indoors. And Hansel Parchment actually is a good example where he's never run an indoor 60-meter hurdles. You also have athletes like Adon Harper-Nelson, Olympic champion in 2008, Olympic silver medalist in 2012, when we're talking about the 100-meter hurdles. She's barely competed in the 60-meter hurdles. So you're not going to get that same eyes. It's always the 60-meter hurdles is going to be compared to the 110-meter hurdles when looking at the event. And just to further highlight that point, like I said, not all hurdlers actually compete in the 60-meter hurdles indoors. I spoke about Hansel Parchment. He's the Olympic champion from 2021 in Tokyo. He actually took down Grant Holloway at the Tokyo Olympics, and Grant Holloway unfortunately gets a lot of flack from it. Undeserved flack, just to be clear, where people say, oh, well, he didn't win that gold medal, so he's not the best that he can be, etc., etc.
Honestly, yeah, his motivation. Obviously, I know Hansel is watching. I know he's going to send me a congratulations text because he's just that good of a guy. But, you know, I have to be on my A game. In Tokyo, I wasn't on my A game and it showed. But I think some of the times when you win so much, yeah, I think it kind of overshadows what you actually accomplish. A silver medal for myself, my first Olympics, is amazing. Don't get me wrong, like I would love to have gold, and you know, ever since that race, I don't believe I lost a major yet. So I'm doing well, and I'm happy. Obviously, I know everybody else is working hard and everything like that, but obviously I'm the one with the big old target on my back, so I gotta continue just to work a little bit harder.
Listen, Grant Holloway is a GOAT of the 60-meter hurdles despite not winning that 110-meter hurdle gold at the Olympics, but it's always in the context of the 110-meter hurdles. And Hansel Parchment, he's not competing indoors. Rasheed Broadbell, he's not competing indoors. Some of the top guys in the top competition, they're not competing indoors, so that's gonna kind of skew the perception of how people people think of the event. But in my opinion, I think that is a moot point, and it is very, very clear that Grant Holloway is a GOAT of the 60-meter hurdles, and he should very much be in the same conversation as a Mondo Duplantis, as a Ryan Crouser, as a Yulimar Rojas, as all these athletes who are GOATs of their event. Yes, it's not the 110-meter hurdles, but we are talking about an athlete who has won multiple indoor titles, has the world record, and has put on display dominance that no other athlete in history has been able to do. And whether or not this translates outdoors into the 110-meter hurdles, which in my opinion, it very likely will, I think that Grant Holloway needs to go down as one of the greatest athletes in track and field history. But let me know what you think about Grant Holloway. Let me know if you think he is the GOAT of the 60-meter hurdles, and let me know if you think this is going to translate outdoors. He already has a plethora of accolades outdoors in the 110-meter hurdles, but is he going to be considered one of the best? Let me know what you think. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Back again next time. Thanks for watching, y'all.
And I think the biggest thing is you know, obviously I'm winning world champs, I'm winning races, and you know, someone asked me earlier, it's like, if you talked a little bit more, if you ran your mouth a little bit more, will you get more sponsors, or will you have more deals, or vice versa? And I simply responded saying, I know I'm great, I just don't be in everybody's face, because I'm content with the way I live my life. My mom, my dad, my lady's taken care of, have a great I just think I have a great life, and to kind of boast and brag about what I don't have and what I have is not just me. So, you know, as I win, the sponsors will come. If they don't come, look, I'm still happy regardless of whatever happens, man. God bless me with an amazing life. I'm able to talk to all these cameras right now, and you know, it's a great feeling.